Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined by the inimitable Shannon D.
That's me.
And we have a very special guest who
Hello. Yes. Hi, I'm Kenzie.
Hi, Kenzie. Good to meet you.
You too.
You are staying at Shanno's.
Yes. Well, for one night. I got in from Bali last night, so I'm here for one day. One quick little...
She's a world traveler.
Yeah, basically right now.
Okay.
During the winter, I try to leave. Basically every year.
Oh, those LA
And
winters.
the summer, too.
Yeah, in the
Poor
summer.
girl.
I'm kind of everywhere lately, but yeah.
And what's your background?
I've been in LA for like 10 years, on and off, clearly. And came out here for acting, been kind of pursuing that and many other things all the time.
Ooh,
so
okay. Multi-hyphenate status.
Oh, yeah, you have
Just
to
like
be out
Shannon.
here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's kind of what brought us together.
Yeah, we met on a shoot. So there was this website back in the day. Oh, it's still, I guess, now, but
We don't know if it exists anymore,
Yeah.
by
we
the way.
tried logging into our accounts
And
last
we
night.
can't.
It's called Model Mayhem.
That sounds so made up.
Oh, it is. It is a
Mayhem.
dark web. It's crazy, but it was the thing like 10
Yeah.
years ago. Everyone, actors, models, everyone had, a Model Mayhem account.
So
Okay.
what it was is you would post pictures of yourself. You had a profile, and then you would basically, it was like all exchange with photographers, right?
It was like to get, like if you
Build
were
your portfolio.
Yes, which is what we did. And it was like free shoots, but there was a lot of sketchy people on there, and a lot. It was not safe. I would say.
GWCs, as they're called, guys with cameras, not photographers.
As we're surrounded by all my cameras, this is legit. This operation is
exactly.
legit.
Yeah, this looks like a casting couch right now.
Right? Yeah, guys, get a little. You guys are also really close
I know,
to each
we're-
other.
we're like
we need
we're
you guys
scared.
super close. All right.
I know.
Now,
So-
it was called Modeling Mayhem.
Model Mayhem.
Was there? I picture flames. Lots of flame gifs. No.
No, it was.
no.
And
was-
looking at it last night, even we were like, it just looks so unprofessional, but like everyone used it. I mean, everyone it was a little bit like, I guess, Actors Access or LA Casting.
Yeah, I have.
you know?
I have that one.
Yeah,
Actors
yeah,
Access.
same.
But way less legit.
Yeah.
It was mainly like for guys who couldn't see women naked on their own to get women to come over to their
God.
house and pose naked
This
for
was
them.
definitely Harvey Weinstein's homepage.
Yeah,
just his
exactly.
thing.
Even there was some paid shoots on there. So I went to this one, and it was like I went to his apartment, and I felt so uncomfortable. Like the second I got in there, I was like, I gotta get out. I gotta get out of here. But it was like my first paid shoot, and my manager at the time was like, no, you got to take them. This is good. It's building your portfolio, blah, blah, blah. And then later this guy came out to be just like the creepiest, like so many, I mean, girls came out against this guy, and I think he might even be in jail now. I'm not sure,
Wow.
but yeah.
Mayhem.
And I know the mayhem. It was a sketchy
Yeah.
website.
I had one experience one time where I went over to this guy's house and he was like just disgusting, like a creep. And
Take
he
it off.
took pictures of me with like lingerie on. And then you look at his profile, and every single one of the photos I took was exactly the same as every other girl took. So it was like he wasn't even doing it for the art. Like he literally was just doing it to get naked, like topless girls in his apartment. And he
Yeah.
was so like, he just kept asking me like, oh, do you have any friends? And I was like, I don't know, what's your type? And he was like, like you. And I'm like, well, you ain't getting anyone like me, honey. And then he was like getting hard during it and stuff.
How could you tell?
Through his
He was
pants.
wearing like really.
And then he had me buy a roll of camera, like a film roll
For your shoot.
for my shoot.
God, this is
And then
that long
I had
ago.
to go, and then I had to give it to him. And then when I met up with him later after he got him developed, he wanted me to pay him for each individual photo. I was like, but I bought the film.
Right. And this is so funny that we were talking about this last night, that we were willing to do this kind of stuff, and this is
But
how
that's-
we
I
met.
thought this was a site for
drive
gigs.
drive drive from all over to get new photos for our portfolio.
New photos.
Like times were just weird back then. We would never do that now. I'd be like, "Are you gonna pay my?" No.
No, we were doing it for free.
Yeah.
But the benefit to you was you get
photos.
You would get new photos for your portfolio to then get work.
But not on Modeling Mayhem. Modeling Mayhem was to get the photos.
And there were some paid jobs on there. There were some, but and I think some were like okay, but it was just kind of a way for models, you know, to build their portfolio and then get with
put on like LA casting
and get with an agent and you know that
commercial agent.
So you met at a non-creepy guy's house?
Yes, he wasn't creepy.
No, he wasn't creepy
because I'd worked with him a few times, like doing headshots and stuff.
So Shannon's an actor. You're more modeling? Or
no,
both?
I'm more acting. Although I've had a lot more modeling work, I'd say. You know how it is out here to be an actor, but yeah, definitely pursuing both. Less on the modeling side because I've aged out, unfortunately.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, you're still working a lot.
I am a little bit, but you know, it's like from an agency perspective, like I'm in this weird phase because then I could go into the mature sort of modeling, which is going to be from like
you're mature,
not yet, but like 35. There's an awkward stage, yeah.
Oh wow.
Because I'm 30 now, and so there's like
you're 30, and that's considered mature.
Well, not quite. Like 35 to like
today.
50. Then is the next kind of modeling, like where you're the mom and you're the this, that, and the other. So
wow.
Yeah, that's a hard part about modeling.
Like Max's mom, she was a model back in the day, and then she took a break when she had kids, and then once she was like 55, I guess, and then she went gray, and then all of a sudden she started getting a lot of work again. But it's like that awkward phase where it's like there's no representation allowed for that age.
Exactly.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I like that you're like, it's tough town for actors, so I'm just coasting on modeling. Yeah. You know, it's tough.
I know. I'm in that weird phase, so but yeah, the modeling, like, and it's fun here and there, but also I won't go back to doing like free shoots to try and build my portfolio and all that. I'm past that.
She's
thank
such
God.
a good model though. She's so beautiful.
Oh well, thank you.
Well, it's true. She knows her angles. Like I was never able to achieve that. Like I don't know how to do that.
You don't know your angles? You don't have like your blue
I have one pose. That's
what is it?
That would have to be if you're over here. Over the shoulder.
Over the shoulder.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love it. Well, like I really
Can we see one of your angles?
Okay. I don't know. Where should I pose? Toward the
camera.
Okay.
Toward the camera, yeah.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, that was smooth though, because Shannon's was like, you know what we've talked about though is these bad makeup artists. They're out there.
I was just listening to the last part. Yes.
They don't have any depth or contouring. I don't know the terms.
Well, actually, I remember on our shoot, the one that we did when we met, the one makeup artist was so good, and she did yours along with everyone else, but she was such a talker, she couldn't get through. Like a few of us had to do like her assistant, and my makeup was so bad. I was like feeling myself, and then I got my makeup done, and I saw like everyone else was looking so good.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And I was like,
I know.
photographer, don't take a photograph of her.
Yeah, exactly. When you work with like makeup artists, usually in my experience, like they have been I almost always like my makeup, especially like I cannot stand doing my own makeup. I'd much rather have it done, but there have been times when the makeup artist is the concept is to be like look natural, like you have no makeup, and I'm like, guys, this doesn't look great, or they go over the top and you really don't like how you look, and it's so hard as a model because then you don't feel comfortable, and sometimes just the makeup, I don't know, it just doesn't.
It's the worst because like when you're like an acting too, like when your makeup is done bad, and a lot of times I just try and remember like, okay, this is the character, it's not me.
Right.
True.
This is the character, and I just have to do what they want me to do, but you feel like shit and so not confident.
I know.
And then you're like, I'm on fucking network television right now looking like a goth.
Yeah. But then on the other hand, when the makeup is good, that is
really
my
feeling yourself.
You feel yourself and you feel so good. Like I that's when all day I'm like just want to film everything because I'm just like, okay, wow, I could never do this to myself, but you guys can, and whoa, I can look like this. Oh, thank you.
I don't know if you've seen it. Shannon has to have seen it, but I did drag on the Food Network, and
What?
they made me so ugly.
So
It's really
ugly.
sad. They
I
made
feel
me
like you'd be hot.
Thank you. I feel like I could have been decent. I feel like they intentionally made me uggo.
No.
I was like, come on. This was my one day to be a woman.
Gorgeous.
Gorgy.
Well, drag queen is not natural. Like you're not gonna look like natural, like nice makeup. You look.
I guess you're right.
They
It's
get rid of the
supposed to
eyebrows.
look-
They make your
yeah.
eyebrows crazy on top. It's supposed
looks
to
crazy.
be like clownish.
Got a great episode for you guys today. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Over 200 bonus episodes. Check out our Instagram. Shanno's killing it. YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. What's the other one? TikTok.
And listen to us on Spotify.
Love to hear it. Our second story of the day, AITA for telling my friend she's too basic to be a model. But first, here's Shanno.
I'm directing a play in
Okay,
school.
so on the show, we say the title.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
She was excited.
AITA for rejecting an actor based on his height and looks. I'm directing a play in school, and the lead character is a charismatic warrior, seasoned, and womanizer. Naturally, this lends itself to being reasonably robust, tall, and good looking. One guy tried out for the role and was decent. However, he's extremely short. By that, I mean below 5 feet tall, very skinny, and not very attractive. His acting was decent, but not amazing enough to believe the obvious suspension of disbelief one would have given his physical mismatch with the role he's playing. I opted for somebody who's also decent, not great in the acting department, but fits the physical description far more. One of the people working with me on the play is upset with me for discriminating against the first guy for his looks. I think that's a silly criticism. He doesn't meet the criteria, so he's not a good fit. It's fairly simple. She thinks I'm shallow as hell, but I think hiring actors that either A, fit the physical description, or B, are good enough actors to overcome the mismatch is common sense. AITA? Oh, wait, I also realized I'm a shallow asshole, not shallow as hell. It was AH and I just improvised.
So my first question, just before we jump off to all the core of this, I think hiring actors, she writes. Are we hiring actors for a school play, or is she just being...
I guess casting is
Casting.
what they mean to
Yeah.
say.
Okay.
But,
I mean... She
she seems like she's trying to make it as legit as possible. She didn't get her goals of like becoming a real director, so just give it to her, okay?
I'm giving
Danny?
it to her. I mean, this is going to be tough. Everyone here is very photogenic. You know, I'm 5'8", which is just incredibly powerful and tall.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't connect with this at all.
No,
But we can imagine.
This guy, I mean, you're a giant compared to this man.
Yeah, big time.
Right,
big
I
time.
know. I'm a giant compared to almost anybody statistically worldwide.
True.
But yeah, I think this is interesting, right? Because I think we can easily go to a place where this wouldn't be okay. Like if it was about a white person, like only white people are beautiful. Like I was thinking like where it would be obviously wrong.
Right.
It's like, that's absurd.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it would, yeah, like exactly if it was someone like they nowadays in plays you can switch that up. Like look at Hamilton, for example. Like they didn't care at all about that.
Right.
But I do think that there is something about like physical prowess that makes a character a certain way, and the audience would really have to suspend disbelief if it's like, oh my God, like I'm so scared of this person and he's under 5 feet tall.
she's looming over. I'm so intimidated by it.
He's like, stop it! Stop the chariot!
Like that would
Exactly.
Yeah, and if they don't have like a good command of their voice, and it sounds like they're a decent actor, but it's a lot to kind of sell being a powerful, scary man. It sounds like this guy, I mean, he's a womanizer, so that takes a certain level of charisma. You can't just be womanizing.
Yeah, I mean, he could definitely look the way he does and have that riz about him, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could go, I mean, the other way, which is like maybe, you know, she just switches it completely, like a really, you know, a short man syndrome. You know what I mean? Where he wants to be bigger, and maybe the acting. This is a hard one. This just instantly makes me think of like, you know, not getting a role because I have freckles or something like that.
Do you have
Yeah,
freckles?
that's yes. That's I remember
Yeah.
there was a role and they said, we just wanted you to have, you know, more freckles. And I was like,
more
You can
freckles.
draw
I know. And they went with, you know, someone who had a ton of freckles, but this like brings up
This is a
some
pretty
trauma.
funny complaint.
Yeah,
Kenzie.
I know. There's been certain things, you know, like,
I didn't have enough flaws. Ugh.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, one thing for me at least, like I've always like my whole life had issues with my height, and then
Yeah.
like it sucks because I still have issues with my height as an actor. Like I can guarantee you, I've never heard it back from casting, but I guarantee that there's been times I've lost roles because I'm taller than the man I'm supposed to be opposite.
Oh, I never
Guarantee that those are conversations.
That's why this is a progressive podcast, because you are opposite me and I allow you to be taller.
Exactly.
Thank you for allowing her
I
to be
allow her
taller.
to be
That's
taller.
so sweet
You know,
of
I
you.
am working on technology to shrink her just a little bit, and just sort of a shrink ray.
Well, actually, I remember the agent that Kenzie was with years ago. You had like submitted me, or you know, to help me get with that agency, and they denied me. And I remember asking why, and one of the reason was because of my height.
Really?
Yeah,
Who was
because
this that was
NTA. Yeah, but yeah, I was like, can
NTA?
you give me a reason? NTA.
That was the name of the.
Oh yeah.
It was NTA.
NTA.
I was like, wait, what? Did you just throw the verdict in there? That was the name of the talent agency?
Yeah,
That's
NTA,
very
wasn't
funny.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the
'Cause-
verdicts.
Yeah,
You seem
not
like
the
you're
asshole.
quite
Oh,
racist.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, got it.
yeah.
But I do remember one time a play I was in, because I went to performing arts high school, and it was called Wiley and the Hairy Man, and I played the hairy man.
What?
I was in a costume, like I had a mask on and
Sure.
everything, but like I auditioned for it, and I mean, I think people were surprised I even got it because it was a monster. It was like this big monster. And after the show, though, I would like take my mask off to like bow, and everyone was always shocked that it was a woman underneath
Pulls it off. That's
yeah.
amazing.
So there's an example of like somebody that it does not fit the part at all, who
Right.
really pulled it off. But in this scenario, it's not like they're gonna put him in a like in one of those like stilts or one of those outfits, like a, you know, Superman kind of muscly thing,
yeah.
which I guess they could do something like
help.
that, because it's a play. You can, when it's a play, you can get away with being so many different like ages, like types of people, monsters, aliens, whatever, because well, the makeup doesn't have to look anywhere near as
Right.
good because you're so far away.
Yeah.
And you can play it like an old person, and nobody notices that you're playing someone that's way older than you, when you could never do that on TV and film unless it's a sketch comedy.
Right, right. I do agree with you that a muscular short man is 6'5". I believe that's what you were saying. Right? Is that what you said?
That's right. I did say that.
I think where I am struggling to ding, because here's my view. I was thinking about this situation. Imagine they're doing a bunch of school plays, and that the one blonde, like stereotypically hot girl is always the hot girl or the princess or whatever. Then I would be like, well, can't we go a little bit differently if we're on like play 3 with fucking Ashley again?
Switch it
right?
up.
Switch it up.
Switch it up. Yeah,
But
let's change it.
Right. Like, I'm not seeing this here. It seems like this is a oner. She's not talking at all about, like, it just seems like one person criticizing it. And I'm like, well, yeah, but sometimes there is a time to put on a show. And unfortunately, we do have to rely on convention.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like a play. So it's like, you can't, how are you going to work with that? It needs to be like kind of plausible.
Exactly. And guys, the whole industry, whether it's a school play, anything, I feel like it's cutthroat out there,
Yeah.
you know? So
And honestly, I think the most reasonable explanation for a rejection, like the one that I take the least personally, is that I just didn't fit the physical role of it, or like I just, it wasn't right for me. Because then I'm like, okay, it wasn't about my acting. It wasn't about that I was bad.
Right.
It was just like I like didn't have freckles, or like whatever. I'm too tall. Like that does fucking suck. But especially if it was like I was perfect for it besides the height, like that really does suck. But for the most part, I usually can handle rejection like really well, because I'm like, well, it just wasn't the right fit for me.
I did a Little Caesars commercial. I don't think I've ever talked about this.
No.
I wasn't in it.
Oh, you weren't in
It was
it.
an audition.
Oh, okay, good.
And it was like the end of the day. It was like the worst slot. You know, I remember the guy was just like so exhausted. And there was this guy who was just very hammy, very turned up. And he was jacked. He was jacked and taller than me. And there were 2 roles. And it was communicated to me that we would do both. That's what I thought. And we went in, and I got to be like the loser weakling guy or whatever. And he was like the strong guy. And he was so hammy. Like, it would not have played for TV. It would have played for stage, like as a hammy stage guy. But like for TV, I was like, this guy does not know what he's doing. This is so corny and bad. And I remember I was just like, can I be that guy? He's like, you're not that kind of guy. We're done. We're done for the day. And I was like, okay. All right, yeah, we're
The
done.
casting director said
And
that.
so then you had to just leave.
I just had to leave.
Yeah.
I didn't get to do
And you were
both
there,
roles.
like waiting.
Yeah, I mean, I was only there like an hour. It wasn't that bad.
Oh yeah, just an hour.
You guys probably know that
2
place. It's like a famous place. It's like a lot of blue carpets and rooms around the edges. People know it. My
like,
friend
Where
knew
is
it.
that?
do you remember the name of the casting place?
No, but it's like a windowless building next to like a Ross or some shitty
Or
like,
PetSmart?
Kohl's or PetSmart.
Oh, I know that one.
What is that place?
It's 300 South La Brea or something. I know the
People
address.
know it.
People
it's
know
kind
it.
of prison-y. It's kind
a
of
little
asylum-y.
prison-y.
I'm like, this place kind of sucks.
It is,
man.
and then everyone like sits in there in that room, and there's all these different places that you go in, and all of that.
I remember that, yeah.
It's scary. It's scary. Well, actually, the one where we remember the audition that we just did recently, and I got really close to this, but they just said we wanted to go with someone older. So
Which is the best compliment you can
I'll
get.
take
She's
it.
too young.
I'm too young.
There we go.
Great. Thank you. So yeah. So
One more thing about this sitch that I have to say is if he was amazing,
right.
Then different story. Yeah.
totally different story. Like if he fucking blew it out of the water and the other guy was just decent but he looked the part,
Right.
then I would absolutely say that she should have casted the guy who fucking killed it. Because again, it's a play. It's not a film that it would be like, it's not the movie 300 where it'd be insane that a 4'11" guy is battling it out on the Coliseum or whatever it's called.
Wow.
History.
Wow. Wow.
But yeah, so I think that the teacher's like the other one that's being is just like trying to cause a stink for no reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And get used to it. It's a cutthroat industry, baby. You gotta build some tough skin.
Exactly. They're preparing them for the future.
Exactly.
I feel like you would be a rough drama teacher.
you think?
Everything that would happen, you'd just be like, "This is a cutthroat."
I would. That'd be my only thing. Yeah.
I'm in
Guys,
7th grade.
This is cutthroat. This is cutthroat.
cutthroat.
Actually, on that, do you remember this? I had one acting agent who, and I can't believe I signed with him because I was a little bit desperate. But I remember him saying to me, I don't know why you're choosing this career path. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
Jesus.
My acting
like, where do I
agent.
sign?
Yeah.
Nice to
Yes,
meet
and I'll
you.
sign. Thank you. That was
Worst
so
enemy. We
yeah.
did get one YTA here. It's a school play, not a West End production. What is a West End production?
Isn't that in New York? Isn't that where?
sounds. Yeah, what is
We don't know.
West End?
It's not by a Petco, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's not.
The short kid might have given an incredible performance in a part they normally wouldn't get a chance in because the real world, they get rejected. They'll likely never get a chance at anything like this again. While tall and handsome kid will go through life getting shit handed to him. I'm not saying it's your responsibility to correct social prejudice. I'm just saying you had a chance to give someone who may have been deserving something they couldn't have gotten elsewhere, and you said no, but this isn't what happened. They did not bring the performance if you're going to shoot for a role that isn't conventionally yours, you are going to have to do the extra work. I feel like that's fair, especially if it's
Absolutely.
like charismatic, tall, big guy.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
West End is in London.
Oh, right.
My buddy and I had a good
London.
discussion about this, actually. And I actually think I gave great notes as a little acting
Let's
coach
hear it.
myself. Well, he was supposed to play like an intimidating man. And he's a big guy. He's huge. but he just kept like doing all these gestures and stuff. And so I just walked directly into his face and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, do you feel the difference between that and being a chaotic short man? Stop it. You know, he's like, I'm like, don't move, bro. Just be a fucking wall. You're scary enough, you know?
Right.
Yeah. The less you move, the more intimidating, I think. Like the more like power you hold in a room is the one that's talking less, moving less, holding the power.
Yeah, I've had coaches literally make me sit on my hands during,
really?
tapes. Yeah, like just be like this because I tend to, I don't know if it's like a nervous thing. I just want to blah, 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 and so when you just calm down and sit, like you're more powerful, especially on tape, since that's all we seem to do these days. Self-tape after self-tape.
There we go. All right, I think we're lined up here. I mean, there is more. There's more YTAs. You said 2 things. Lead character is charismatic. Naturally, this lends itself to being reasonably robust, blah, blah, blah. I understand 1, but for 2, the script specifically describes the actor as reasonably robust, tall, and good looking. Then you made that up on your own.
Where did it say that it didn't have the script? The script didn't say that.
I don't know. I feel like this is a pedantic thing. I think this one is fine. It seems to me like this person did not rise to this role, and it's that simple.
No, they both equally sucked.
Right,
So just choose the one that looks more like the role.
Exactly. If they're both decent, just go with the one that looks more, fit for the role. Robust, yes.
So we agree, no assholes here?
No assholes here.
No assholes here. Oh, well, the teacher, whatever. I guess the other teacher was just trying to look out, I guess, but they were kind of annoying.
Wasn't that? Yeah, it was just annoying. Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/AITA pod. Here's Shannon.
AITA for telling my friend she's too basic to be a model. I, 21F, have been modeling with an agency since I was 16. In model standards, my career is successful. I've known my friend, 21F, for a few months now, and the topic of modeling came up. She is 5'5", mid-size, and looks like your average person. She told me that she wanted to join my agency and do high fashion work. I shrugged and told her good for her, but she noticed something was up and asked why I was acting like that. I told her it was nothing, but she kept pushing and pushing till I told her modeling isn't all fun and games. I told her the truth about the industry and how toxic it is, how on the outside it looks like it's changed, but it hasn't. How I've been harassed by agents for my hip measurements being 35.7 instead of 35 and constantly being rejected for things out of my control. I also told her about the pay and how it isn't this huge paycheck right after, and there were months I had to stretch the paycheck to get an advance for a smaller amount for fees. When I told her there were magazine covers and shows I've done for exposure in lieu of pay, she called me a liar.
Liar.
She then goes on to talk about Lily Rose Depp and Kendall Jenner and how they get paid millions for their work. I told her that they're Nepo babies in the top 1% of the industry, and it can take the most amazing models years to get there, even if they get that lucky. She kept saying that isn't true, and those girls just aren't good models, and how once she gets there, she'll make it to that level. This is where I snapped and told her she's not even tall enough or unique for runway work. She once again brought up Lily Rose Depp and how she's walked for Chanel multiple times, even though she's short. I told her to remember who her parents are and the connection she has. She then said the industry isn't like that anymore. This is where I went off and said the industry hasn't changed like that, that there isn't a market for petite mid-sized girls, and there isn't even big enough, and she isn't even big enough for plus size modeling, but not small enough either. I mentioned how if they made such a fuss about a 0.7 inch difference in my hips, why would they care about her? She had no connections to help her on the runway, and she is a normal person, and that commercial work is probably her only chance of modeling. After this, she called me a jealous hater and stormed off. She hasn't talked to me since. I asked another friend, and she said I should have just went along with what she was saying, even though I knew she was completely wrong. AITA?
Ugh, I'm just sick about this girl's extra 0.7 inches on her.
Oh, I know. Have you ever had anything like that?
Oh yeah, I've been an agent told me that I was And I was like small at the time, but that I should definitely, and this was probably like 10 years ago, that I needed to lose like a lot of weight if I wanted to work. And they put me, you know,
tone up.
yeah, I needed to tone up. I needed to, you know, do this, that, and the other. And, you know, it's rough. It's really, really rough. And you would try to like not eat before you got your measurements done and all this stuff. And
Wow.
But this was a while ago. Things have changed, I think, drastically since then.
Have you seen a change since that time?
Oh yeah, big time. Now it's like, you know, they'll get your measurement, but there's no like you need to lose weight, you need to do this, like because it's so much more inclusive now, which is really great, you know.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So maybe this person is a little wrong.
Well, runway might be slightly different, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, runway, like high fashion, and I don't do that sort of stuff, is definitely still going to be, you have to have height. Sure.
There's the gap here is between commercial and high runway.
Well, yeah, I mean, she could do just, I'm sure, like campaigns. A lot of campaigns now, you know, you don't necessarily have to be a model, especially like with commercial work. Like it's just they want, you know.
If anything, actually, commercial work, like the more unique that you look and more like different, I should say, like the more you're gonna work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
But we're talking about runway is kind of where OP is coming from.
Yeah, because she's talking about high fashion.
Right.
And high fashion is like French or some shit.
High fashion is you got to be tall and you have to be very
That
thin.
kind of thing, yeah.
And a lot of times they are actually a little bit more unique looking. Like sometimes the most like beautiful girls, like stereotypical society, often aren't runway models. Like the supermodels are, yes, but like the ones that are just like working and like, you know, walking for like Balenciaga or Burberry or whatever, there is like a very specific like
kinda
unique gaunt. I was just gonna say that word. Yeah,
They look a little sick.
Exactly. Yeah.
so, just for somebody that
like-
is 5'5", mid-size, like she could do great in the commercial world for sure, doing
Exactly,
campaigns. Like I'm
right.
even just thinking of like Dove, for example. Like Dove has a campaign where it's like women of all different sizes. Like almost every women's brand these days are like, even look at Skims, for example. Like they're getting women of all ages, all sizes. And but it just is kind of a little delulu for her to think that she would work in high fashion.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a hard position for her friend to be in, because I've been in situations too before where, you know, where I started out and I had friends that were in really big, you know, agencies and stuff. And I was like, oh, I would, you know, love to, I would submit, you know, but then, and they were always kind of encouraging, I guess, like being like, yeah, go for it, you know.
Yeah.
But this is a hard situation because, you know, she probably wouldn't work at her agency to do high fashion work, you know? So
Right.
It is a little bit uncomfortable. I've been in these positions before too, where I have friends that have asked me like to submit them to my agency or my manager.
Yep.
And it does reflect you a little bit because you want to submit people that you think would be a good fit for your agency or that you believe in their work. Like, for example, like with acting or comedy stuff, like sometimes I would be put in uncomfortable positions where it's like, I don't really think that you have the talent that I want to back you, and being like, yeah, my friend's great, when like I don't really think that. Or mostly this would be like acquaintances.
Right.
And so it's putting, because I'm like putting a stamp of approval on it.
Right.
And so I can imagine for this woman to submit her to her agency. Now, if her agency has a commercial department, that would be totally fine. But if it was just strictly high fashion, which I guess I don't know the modeling world as much as there's certain agents for like one specific thing.
Yeah.
So her agency would probably be like, wait, what?
Right.
What are you talking about? You're submitting her to runway?
You're
Exactly.
35.7 and she's 36. Like that is, we just threw up a little.
Yeah, it ain't happening.
By the way, I'm like a 34 pant size. Is that what that's talking about?
Your
Is that-
hips, that's probably
is that
your
my hips?
waist.
Oh, that's my waist.
No,
Well, I don't
35
know.
is different. I think men, it is
It's where it's my pants. Isn't your waist here? What?
It's different.
I was learning
I
about
don't know
midriffs.
I don't know
today.
men's sizes. I don't
Because
know.
what she's talking about, 35,
Yeah.
is hips.
Is hips,
Yeah.
which is
Right
where your
here.
pants sit on.
No,
Or your
it's
pants
lower.
sit on
It's
your
your
waist.
widest. No, it's right here.
your
You
Yeah, the-
measure
the
your
hips.
hip here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was learning about the bare midriff, right? You never hear about the midriff except when it's bare.
Midriff?
Midriff, right? You never hear someone, oh, I'm covering my midriff. It's only the bare midriff, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then I was looking up what it is. It's the area between your waist
Yeah, and your
and your chest. It's a very narrow.
well, your
kind of
belly
strip.
button. No, it's your
Above
belly
your
button and
no, it's above your belly button.
midriff.
Yeah,
No, isn't midriff down here?
I swear it's
I guess
above your
it's
belly
like
button.
When you wear like a little crop top, I guess.
And I'm serious. I was looking
Oh.
at diagrams of it, and I don't watch porn. I haven't watched porn for a year. I actually got turned on.
By the midriff?
It's a midriff. I'm serious. I was
Oh my
like, okay,
God.
New
I'm gonna
fetish.
close the browser. I'm gonna close this.
Well, it's working then.
It's working. So, yeah, I think this is a reality check. I was thinking about this. You know, I was actually Shannon and we were talking about, you know, at the pod, like when you're too direct with people, it's gross. It can be ick-inducing, right? You don't want to go for the ask. It's not. You got to seduce the ask always. You got to be seducing pretty much always. And I think the way to do something like this, like, look, we have OP who is good at this, and she's been doing it for a while. She's been doing it for 5 years, right? And then this person is basically just like, I want to do it too. I want to do what you do.
Right.
And there's a disrespect there as well, because it's like, well, I've decided I'm good enough. It's like, whereas exploring this, I think, is a much better way to do it. She's like, hey, you know, I'm into modeling. What would it take for someone like me?
Exactly.
Instead of coming in ego first and being like, I'm ready, recommend me.
Right. Right. And I, as a friend, I'd just be like, okay, you should just like do your due diligence, you know, like see what, maybe look at other agencies out there and just say, you know, it's really hard for anyone who's not over 5'8" to do runway work, you know, and just kind of.
Is that an insult? Is that, why'd you have to bring my height into
I'm
this?
so
What
sorry.
the
I
fuck
forgot.
is that,
No,
Kenzie?
actually.
You are 5'8", so
And-
you could do runway.
Yeah, and I'm 5'7", and this has always, in my modeling career, has always, you know, since I'm not 1 inch taller,
Yeah.
it's, you know,
You're very tall though.
I'm
5'7" is a
super
beautiful
tall.
height. It's not 5'8", but it's
That's the height I always wanted to be.
5'8".
5'7".
Oh yeah, you're good at.
I would have
5'7".
killed it at 5'7". I would have had so much confidence if I
you
was a
would've been
5'7".
Such a good 5'7".
I know.
Oh my god, what a
It's
shame.
devastating.
So I do feel like, you know, the what this person is saying is very shallow. This sounds like me deciding I'm going to be a model today. Like Lily Rose Depp, like, oh, I wonder why she's doing well. I can't imagine if there's any
Yeah.
clues in her name.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to Google to figure it out, but it's pretty obvious.
didn't know?
Well, no, I don't know Johnny Depp's kids. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, okay.
Ever
You
since
didn't,
the trial
you didn't
ended,
watch
I
the.
divested.
oh
what
my
was
god,
the, what was that show?
The show?
The Idol.
The Idol.
Yeah.
She was the lead on it this year, and it was crazy.
And what's Kendall Jenner to the Kardashians?
She is their half sister. She's Kim's half sister. She's Kris Jenner and Bruce, Caitlyn Jenner's daughter.
Got it. Okay. Anyway, you know, I feel like this person basically didn't really want an answer. I don't feel like OP did anything wrong. I feel like OP reality checked them.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's like if someone came to us and was like, I want to be, you know, an actor out of nowhere and wanted to submit to our agency, we'd be like, well, you need to get like a real first headshots. You need to do, you know, this, that, and the other, maybe take some classes, and then, you know, we can talk. But I kind of would be like, you know, I love that you dream big and everything, and, you know, don't give that up, but here are the facts and do your due diligence, you know, and then.
Totally. I feel like I would give them advice like that and like different steps that they can take to get there. And I think maybe that is one thing that she probably could have done a little bit more. I really don't like the way that OP says after she said that, because she did just say, she said, she did say, I want to join your agency, but she shrugged and said, good for you. Like, that's kind of a weird thing, because she sensed that something was up and was like, okay, well, wait, why are you reacting that way? Like, shrug, good for you. Maybe she said it a little nicer than that, but instead of instead of OP being like, it's not all fun and games, it's toxic, it's this, it's that, like talking her out of it. I mean, I guess that is being a good friend because you're kind of trying to gently say like, yeah, this high fashion runway is probably not the route for you. But I do feel like, and she did say eventually that commercials could be good for her, but I do think that the better move, instead of like dissing the whole industry and telling her that, you know, she couldn't do it and saying all the negatives, then she could have been like, yeah, you should get on Model Mayhem, join the Patreon, we get all into it, and like take pictures with a photographer. I bet you could do commercial work. That would be great. Like just giving her other options instead of just like completely shitting on her and then being like, you're not unique, or well, tall enough is definitely a fact.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense for sure, but like unique enough, like she just seems like she's really not coming from a place of kindness, and no wonder she reacted the other way. However, I do think that the friend like acting like she knows better than her friend is the biggest ding. Because I've had friends like this before too that were like trying to tell me about like the acting industry when they're not in it at all. And they were like trying to tell me about like self tapes and like and the like that we should be getting paid for them because he read an article and stuff. And I'm just like, bro, like you don't fucking know what you're talking about. Like that would cost each production so much money if they were to pay all their people, and then we wouldn't get any auditions anymore because they would stop having a self tape if they needed to pay us.
Yeah.
So I was just going into all of that, and he just wouldn't do it. I'm like, bro,
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
We've been at it for a while now.
I feel like I feel like men kind of do. Women might do this for modeling. I mean, that's what's happening here, but like men will do this with like comedy.
It's mansplaining.
Oh yeah, it is mansplaining as well. But just the energy of like, oh, you just go up there and tell jokes. Like I could be a headlining comedian.
Oh yeah,
and it's shitty. Yeah. You're shitting on the other person.
It's also degrading, like kind of demeaning the craft as well.
Right, exactly. It's like, that's based on your shallow impression of what it is. Someone who knows nothing about it, and like that is why, even though OP is kind of being a little bit nasty, it's also kind of disrespecting all the effort. And like it's very entitled. It's just like, I can do it. I can do what you do. What do you do? Just stand there and model. It's
like go do your research, sweetie.
Yeah, exactly.
Go get on it. Look.
She has done her research. She's seen that Lily Rose Depp and Kendall make millions of dollars.
So she can do it.
I do feel like you're right that she could have maybe taken a better approach, but I do feel like this is just entitlement and disrespect, and that's what comes across. I mean, I would say something similar. My friend's like, I could be a headlining comedian. I'd be like, I bet you can. Yeah. You do that then. It's only taken me a fucking decade. I'm sure. You go do it then, big boy.
Big boy.
I think we're aligned here. AITA for telling my friend she's too basic to be a model. It wasn't the nicest, but I think she was kind of bringing heat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we saying NTA and she is? Or I can always give it a break even. I felt like,
yeah.
I mean, she's being an asshole.
She could have been more tactful, but I do understand why. I understand why OP snapped at the end, because she was just kept pushing and pushing. But I think earlier, instead of just being like, here's all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, I think she could have been better about offering other solutions. Like, oh yeah, that's great. You should get into commercial work. My agency has a commercial department. Get hooked up with this photographer, get your portfolio going. Right. And then we'll talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She could have done that, but she didn't. And then the other friend hasn't talked to her since. It's kind of like you're being very dramatic. You decided you were an expert.
Like so delusional. I'm sorry, but like, why would you think?
NDA and the friend is.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Think so.
Like, she's coming in
She
hot.
could have been more.
Yeah.
Have a little respect for the craft.
Exactly. And how hard it is. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
No.
It's hard. It's not all going to Bali Okay.
No, it's not. You're right. You know?
Molly, she's running away.
I got to run away from it for a while and then come back and be like, okay,
Here we go.
positive outlook. Let's do it.
Exactly.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Over 200 bonus episodes. Lots of great content. All right, guys. We're going to wrap this thing up.
AITA for kicking my relatives out when they asked why my adopted siblings were at the family table at my wedding. I, 27M, have 9 siblings, a biological twin brother, and 8 adopted siblings. When our parents had us, my mom also had a hysterectomy due to a placental problem. They weren't ready to stop with us, and they were at a very comfortable place financially, so they decided to foster and adopt. My parents are still active foster parents, and only 3 of them still live in the house, but we all still live near our parents. Our relatives were always against adoption, and when my parents decided to adopt one by one, the ropes were strained a bit, and we cut all of them out. We started to reconnect with them after my mom's brother passed, and we had somewhat of a relationship until my wedding. I got married to my beautiful wife 2 weeks ago. My parents and my siblings were at the front table with my in-laws. I put the extended family tables a little far from us. They complained and asked, why don't we have the front tables? We were so much closer. They complained and asked, why don't we have the front tables? We are much closer to you as blood, you know. This boiled my blood. Angry is an understatement. I kicked all of them out immediately. My siblings and parents are torn on the issue. They think it is great that I defended them, but a little aggressive and think I should have tried talking to them. The only ones thinking I did right are my wife and my in-laws, but they are also known to be short-tempered. AITA?
Seems like the one topic to not bring up. On a more casual level, I was at a wedding and my friend was like, do not complain about the seating arrangements to my wife, to Bailey. And I was like, that makes sense, because people do that, which is so selfish.
Oh, God.
Like, not now, not
come
tonight,
on.
right?
Imagine where I would care. I mean, if like where I'd be sitting that I would care. Like, it's one thing if I didn't get my food, but if I'm getting fed, I don't give a fuck where I'm sitting.
Same.
Yeah,
Sit me down anywhere.
right.
Sit me in the kitchen. Actually, I'll just eat all.
I'll
the
just
food.
eat
That's
all
I
the
wanna
food.
do.
Yeah.
Buca de Beppo ass wedding right there.
That sounds good.
But this topic, I mean, can we just pause on our relatives were always against adoption?
That's where I'm. Yeah,
against
that's
that?
like that's insane to me.
That's
like
wild.
especially like having an adopted brother.
So her birth order is Kenzie's the oldest, and you would truly never know that.
I act like the youngest.
Sure does. She's the most unique oldest child of multiple siblings I've ever met in my life.
Yep.
And then 2 sisters, a brother, and then an adopted brother after that.
Yeah. This I can't even imagine like what that would be like to have any of our relatives be like, yeah, why? That I just
Keep it blood. We must reproduce.
That's
Like,
bizarre.
What kind of a weird.
that is just that's like where I stop. I'm like, that's just so bizarre. I can't even
Bizarre.
imagine it, because and to me, like, you know, I have my 2 brothers, like the adopted one is no different than any of my other siblings, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that. Like, so he's the youngest. How old was he when he was adopted? What made your parents want to adopt after having so many kids? Because I do feel like a lot of times adoption does come when it's like you're having medical issues, or you can't get pregnant, or you don't want to get pregnant. But in this case, like, she already had a bunch of kids. So just take us through that.
yeah, so my mom, you know, really just had this kind of, I don't know, she always wanted to adopt, and after having 4 beautiful healthy kids, she was like, I want to give back. And you know, we were all supportive of it. I was not at the time when I was 13, because I was like, guys, this is like another kid, like I'm losing attention all the time, which
at
is
a
so
quarter.
fucked up.
I'm at a quarter of where I started. Now you want me to go to a fifth?
exactly. Like, come on. Like, I was a little terror, you know, at that point.
Yeah.
But then, so he was 6 months when we adopted him, and he's from Ethiopia. So he was a baby, and we got to that trip going over there to Ethiopia. We worked in an orphanage for like 2.5 weeks. And I was like 13, 14 at the time.
You
so
had to work in the orphanage.
we wanted to just, see everything. And it was like one of probably the most pivotal moments in my life because I was just a brat and horrible before. I was like,
wow.
I was almost expelled from school.
Her birthday's on 9/11.
God, that makes so much sense though, right?
And
That's
she
the
like
original
made
9/11.
everyone stop and sing her happy birthday, and like she was like she couldn't fathom why anyone was like upset or like.
Wait, are you talking about on the 9/11?
Yes.
9 years old. I didn't
you
know
were like,
what.
guys,
I was like, guys, we're not supposed to have the TV on during,
Let's turn that
especially
off.
like, yeah. And I wore a costume to school. Like I brought cupcakes to school. They made us leave, and I was just trauma.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did the Ethiopian orphanage was when you sort of?
That's when, yeah, it just kind of changed my perspective on anything. I was just sort of like a, attention seeking little brat for a while, I'd say. And then that whole experience was so wild. It was really like, I wish that there were more documentaries on it because I remember we worked at the place that he was at, but then when we got Caleb, like they come in just a van and there's all the like 3 nannies with just tons of infants, 2-year-olds, everything. And then they get out of the van and you get one picture. So 6 months ahead of time, you get one single picture,
really?
And then they get out of the van and they hand you a baby, and that's the process. It's insane, and it's crazy how hard it is to adopt. Anyway, that's a whole other subject, but in no one in like our family, our friends ever were against it. So I think it's just
Or treated him any differently.
I mean,
So he was a baby.
He was a baby. Yeah,
and
yeah.
you were 13, so that's the range your parents have.
Yep.
And how old was Bubba when he was?
Bubba must have been 5 years old. Yeah.
Does he remember that?
Yeah, he does. And I mean, the only thing that we've really experienced that's been like different is sometimes the treatment between him and my other brother because he's black, which has been just a very insane experience. Like,
right.
From the public.
Yeah.
Was your ostensibly a pretty white family? I mean,
exactly.
white
Right.
yourself,
And yeah.
Kenzie, not the most diverse name.
Yeah.
really.
Thank you. Yeah. But I can't even imagine this. Like, so
Would you kick out your extended family if they said like, why is Caleb sitting at the family?
I don't think I'd even invite them in the first place if I knew that was going to be their reaction. Honestly, like if he had known this, that's what I want to know. If he had known this before, like that they had an issue with that, but I'd probably kick him out. Yeah. I'd probably be like, then this is my blood. Like he's not my blood, but he's no different than my other sibling.
Probably closer with him than you are with your extended family.
Yeah, exactly. So like I'd probably kick them out.
It is a one strike thing, but I'm just like, man, you are just barking up the wrong tree. Like, I feel like you guys barely clinched the invite, and now you're going to bring that up here at my wedding. Like, I can't blame someone for... At your wedding, it's like you don't bring up anything touchy.
No, you shouldn't even say anything to the bride and groom besides
They should be left
congratulations or make them laugh.
Yeah,
but I
this is
can
cruel.
imagine kicking them out because I'm like, then I don't need your goddamn negative energy if you're telling me that 8 of my siblings you're closer to me when you literally wouldn't talk to me because of them. Fuck all the way off, and then I would just have a glass of champagne and dance the night away, honey.
There you go. Yep. I would too. I'd be like, you got to get out of here. Yeah, or that'd be hard. I try to avoid any awkward situations at all times, but this would be...
Except the ones you create.
Yeah, exactly. This would be, yeah.
Well, we have a little bit of an
The
update.
update's heavy.
So he says, first of all, I started therapy because I had severe anger outbursts in my workplace due to recent events. And my therapist, who's also a psychiatrist, offered me some medication alongside cognitive behavioral therapy.
CBT.
Second of all of our extended relatives are blocked because they called social services and made a false claim of abuse. I'll never forget the child worker's face when he saw all of us partying and him saying, aren't there any 6-year-olds living with you? And us looking like, what the fuck? He apologized after realizing it was a false claim against us. We made a complaint, and turns out that it was my mom's aunt who called, and all of the extended family testified against us from both sides. My siblings said they were scared for me and asked me to cool down because they thought I would do something that I would regret forever. Luckily, I didn't have to handle most of the legal stuff as my parents did, and I'm never contacting them again, honey.
Well, they were as bad as they seemed.
Yeah, exactly. Bye-bye.
That's who's against adoption.
Bye-bye.
People like that.
Yeah. Get out of here.
They just must have some kind of weird vendetta against this family.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like they're just the type of people who like want their family to look a certain way and like not have any other like, you know, types of ethnicities in their family. Like it's screaming to me that they're like a white family that just like cares about like they get those photos taken every year, the white shirts on the dunes and the beach. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. And actually you have those pictures.
We have one. Picture in it.
But yeah, just like caring about appearances, and then but to go this low,
Who does that?
it makes no sense.
Awful.
Huge fucking
I would cut them out. I'd be like, bye-bye. I have them. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we're lined up on this one. AITA for kicking my relatives out when they asked me why my adopted siblings were at the family table at my wedding. We agree. NTA, and they are.
NCI, huge one. NCI.
Huge.
Well, this has been a blast, Kenzie. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your vulnerable chaos.
Thank you so much. That's my name.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.